I know you're wondering about your AP scores. Is this a good enough score? Should I submit it to colleges? How is this going to impact my college admissions decision? Let's talk about it. My name is Dylan. I am a college admissions coach at NextGen Admit, and I recently graduated from Stanford University. First of all, I just want to say it's really good that you're here, you're coming to watch these videos and understand everything you need to know about the college application process. I think that is admirable and good job. There is so much to college admissions strategy, and I truly believe that crafting a college application is an art form in itself. I've been working in this space for over 4 years now, helping students get into Stanford, Harvard, UCLA, and so many other amazing schools. And I've compiled all the strategy that I've learned into this completely free masterclass that I think you're gonna really enjoy. It's called the Top School Admissions Formula, and yes, I'm going to be breaking down the admissions formula to get into a top school. And you can register right away. It's super easy and it's completely free. Just visit nextgenadmit.com/masterclass. I will be breaking down the 3-step process to craft a standout application that can win you over $20,000 in merit scholarships. So check that out. The link is in my description as always. Now let's talk about AP scores and their importance in college admissions. So first of all, AP stands for Advanced Placement. You take an advanced placement test at the end of taking an advanced placement course that is usually offered at your high school. Taking AP classes while in high school is really important for college admissions because it shows your academic rigor. It shows that you are willing to push yourself and challenge yourself in new ways and that you're excited about learning and you take advantage of the academic opportunities that you have available to you. AP scores can also showcase your mastery in a certain subject, and it can help you highlight your interest in certain subjects as well. I strongly recommend that students always take AP classes, especially in fields that are related to their major that they want to study while in college. So for example, if you want to major in something related to engineering, then I would strongly recommend that you take AP classes in the maths and in science classes, and maybe even AP Computer Science if that's something that your school offers. Of course, you don't just have to take AP classes in the respective field that you're intending to go in. I definitely recommend taking as many AP classes as you can. Of course, that is feasible for you and feasible for your abilities and your schedule, because the last thing we want to do is burn yourself out. Taking AP classes also shows colleges that you're going to be able to handle advanced coursework, because essentially what an AP class is a college level class. And getting high scores in these classes can demonstrate your mastery in that subject and your preparedness for college. Plus, another reason why people do this, which is so handy, is that colleges can often give you course credit. So if you score a 4 or a 5, which is like as high as you can go for AP scores, then some colleges, and it depends which colleges and it depends which classes and which AP tests that you take, but some of them will allow you to skip that class once you're in college. For example, I took AP Calculus when I was in high school, and that allowed me to get extra free units in college, so I didn't have to take another math class while in college. This is super, super great if you want to knock out some credits early so you don't have to do them in college. It can also help you save money, so you're paying less for certain classes in college. Although, like I said before, it really depends on the college. For example, I went to Stanford University. I took 9 APs when I was in high school, yet only my AP Calculus class did anything for me in terms of like giving me college credit.
You're my special friend.
Because sure, I took AP US History and other random APs like that, but I wasn't studying anything related to history. I don't even know if they count AP US History in terms of like giving you college credit. They probably don't. I would have to look online for that. But I remember looking at their website to see all the classes, AP classes that they would actually count and give you college credit for. And it's not a lot. It is not a lot. So you can't necessarily get that credit for every class. Another example I can think of is AP Psychology, which is something that I did take in high school, and I did get a 5 on the exam, but in college, it's not like I could get science credits for that. And even if I was a psych major, which I was not, but if I was, I wouldn't be able to get that credit credit, I would still have to take the introductory psychology course at Stanford that would teach probably the same content. So I don't think the college credit part should be the only reason why you're taking APs, because at a lot of schools, they just don't care. They're going to make you retake their classes anyways.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
For a community college, though, I think that would be way more beneficial and more practical because they will actually consider a lot of these credits. All right, so what scores are considered good? And how should you know if you should report them on the application or not? So we'll start with the high scores. That is a 4 or a 5. 4 or 5 is a really good score. Obviously, 5 is the top. But even 4 is a really great score. And I do think absolutely you should submit them if you get a 4 or a 5 on your AP test. Now, a middle score, a 3, that is technically passing, but it's not like a super strong score and definitely not as competitive when we're talking about Ivy League admissions or like those top schools. I think it is completely your decision if you want to submit a score that is a 3. I think this is what I did. I did not submit my 3. I got a 3 in AP World History. It was the first AP class I took. I did not submit that 3 to Stanford, but I think I did submit it everywhere else that I applied to. They were other less competitive schools, whereas Stanford is like obviously ultra competitive, if not like the most competitive school to get into. So I did not choose to submit my 3 to Stanford, but I did give them the rest of my AP scores, which were all 5s. However, I do want to note that having a few 3s are not necessarily going to harm your application, especially if they are balanced with other higher scores for other classes, or having a high GPA, or having a high SAT score. Those things can also help you balance out your academic standing when it comes to colleges perceiving your overall academic performance. Now then there's low scores, which would be getting a 1 or a 2, which is technically not passing. If you get a 1 or a 2 on an AP exam, I would not recommend submitting that to colleges, especially really top colleges, because obviously it's not a passing score, so you wouldn't want to show them that you didn't pass. So those are scores that you might consider withholding unless there's a school that makes it mandatory for you to submit all of your scores. Okay, now I get a lot of questions asking me like,
what if my scores aren't perfect? What if I got a bad score? What do I do? Is this going to impact my application? Is it going to make me auto-rejected?
Like, before you start freaking out, let's understand what's actually going on here. What happens in the admissions process? First of all, they take into account context. College admissions are holistic. They take into account many different factors, not just your grades, not just your scores. They care about your extracurriculars and your essays, which you want to make sure are really, really good, by the way. And they care about the background that you came from as well, the school you went to, the resources that you had access to. All of those play a part when making their decision. So if you have one bad score, it is not going to ruin it for you, I promise. It's more just about how these elements of your application all come together. Now, there are certain like quotas and stuff for grades and GPA that for top schools, you probably would have to land in a certain range to be considered. However, it's a little bit different for AP scores, so it's not the end of the world. I also really, really want to stress the fact that they take into account your background and your school. So if your school does not offer AP classes, you're not going to be judged the same way that someone else who has access to many AP classes will be judged, because that's not fair, right? Like, that one student has access to so many AP classes, so of course they're probably going to take a lot more classes, versus you, if you don't have access to any AP classes, what are you supposed to do? You could self-study and do the test that way, but colleges understand that is a different level of access, and that requires a lot more effort to self-study and take the test on your own because you're not getting a formal class in it. This is also to say it tends to be more competitive for students who do have access to all of those resources and do go to schools with lots of resources, lots of AP classes to choose from, lots of extracurricular opportunities. the bar is set a bit higher for those people because they're competing against the other people who also have access to those resources. Lastly, I do want to note that if you have any sort of special circumstances that make you unable to take the test or just add any other difficulty in terms of your academic journey, then you are more than welcome to share those details inside of the additional information section on the application. Now, if you are going to do that, make sure that you don't write a whole long essay and give all the detail of every little thing, but rather it's just a concise little paragraph or bullet points of just the facts of what went on in your specific situation. This context can just be good for admissions officers, so they're adjusting their expectations accordingly, and they can evaluate your application in the context of what you were going through. Ultimately, if you are stressed about a score that you got, I would say don't stress about it too much. Use the information in this video, decide whether or not you're going to submit it, and take AP classes that relate to your interests and your major, because that's going to show them that you've prepared and you are able to handle the level of rigor that comes with college coursework. At the end of the day, it's not your scores and it's not your grades that are going to help you stand out in the college admissions process. It's your story. It is your entire narrative of how you craft your whole application, and so you want to make sure that is crafted really, really well and with strategy. So if you are committed to crafting a standout application to your dream schools, check out nextgenadmit.com/masterclass. You'll be able to access my free hour-long masterclass and take lots of notes, because there are some really great golden nuggets in there that you can directly apply to your applications. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.